The sky changed color. It happened without warning. One moment, it was a normal morning, clear blue skies, birds flying, kids going to school, people walking to work. The next moment, darkness. A strange shadow covered everything. People looked up, confused. It wasn't a cloud. It was something else, something massive. Then a sound filled the air, a deep, heavy hum. It made the ground shake, windows rattled, dogs barked. Birds flew away, people took out their phones. Some thought it was a storm. Some thought it was an eclipse. But the truth was worse. It was a ship. Not an airplane. Not something made by humans. This was bigger than any building. Longer than any bridge. And there wasn't just one, there were hundreds. Maybe more. They didn't fly fast. They floated like giants in the sky, slow and silent, as if watching from above. Like predators looking at prey. No one knew what to do. At first. The news showed. The ships live. Reporters screamed. Soldiers tried to make contact. Jets flew close but didn't fire. Then all screens went black. Phones died. TV signals stopped. The internet disappeared. Everything went quiet. Then came the voice. It was not. In any language people understood. It was strange and cold. But somehow every human heard the same message inside their head. This world belongs to us now. People screamed. Cars crashed. Alarms rang across cities. Panic spread like fire. No one could believe it. This wasn't a dream. This was real. Then the attack began. Beams of white light shot down from the ships. Buildings turned to dust. Tanks melted. Planes dropped from the sky. Military bases, power plants, satellites, all gone in minutes. The world had never seen destruction like this. People ran. Some prayed. Some fought. But nothing worked. The weapons of Earth were useless. Bullets bounced off the alien ships like pebbles. Missiles exploded before they even hit. It felt like the end of everything. But it yes and single quotes T. Not yet. In one broken city. A man pulled a girl from under a car. His leg was hurt, but he didn't stop. In a forest, a woman gathered lost children, hid them in an old cabin. In the mountains, a small group of strangers shared food and made a plan. They were not soldiers, not leaders, just people. But something inside them refused to give up. The invaders thought Earth would fall in one day. They were wrong. Humans were afraid, yes, but they were also angry. Angry that their world was being taken. Angry that their families were gone. Angry that they were hunted like animals. And anger is powerful. Even without power or weapons, humans began to fight in small ways. They learned to hide, to trick, to watch, to wait. One night in the ruins of a city, a small group saw one of the alien soldiers up close. It was tall, armored, and strange. But it made a mistake. It walked alone. The group didn't run. They set a trap, a simple one. A hole covered with a piece of metal and dust. When the soldiers stepped on it, it fell in, and then they attacked. With fire, with tools, with their bare hands. It wasn't easy. One of them died. Two were hurt, but they killed it. They didn't even know how. But they did it. And that changed everything. They dragged the body underground. Others came to see. They studied it, touched the armor, looked at the weapon it dropped. That night, hope was born. If one could die, more could die. If they could fight one, they could fight more. Words spread slowly, like whispers in the wind. Across ruined cities, dark forests, cold deserts, people began to believe again. Maybe Earth wasn't lost. Maybe this was just the beginning. Far above. In the largest ship, the alien commander looked at the reports. Something was wrong. Resistance was expected, but not like this. These humans were supposed to break, to fall in fear. But instead, they were rising. They were weak, but they didn't act weak. And now, they had killed one of his own. The commander paused. Maybe this world wasn't as easy as he thought. Asterisk, the body was still warm. They stood around it, silent. No one spoke, but everyone felt the same thing. Fear, yes. But also power. This thing, this monster from the sky, was supposed to be unbeatable. But it was lying in front of them now, dead. bleeding, defeated by people who used nothing but fire, bricks, and knives. One of them bent down. Carefully, he touched the alien's armor. It felt cold and smooth, but cracked where they had struck it. He found a small device near the neck. It blinked, glowing blue. No one knew what it was, but they knew it had to mean something. They took it, hit it, and ran. The city above was no longer a city. It was a graveyard of metal and smoke. Ash rained down like snow. There were no lights, no sounds. But something moved in the shadows, small groups, survivors crawling through broken streets. Like ghosts, one boy carried a radio he had fixed from old wires. He turned the knob. Static. Then a voice. Not alien. Human dot, it repeated. Again and again. If you hear this, we are still alive. Do not give up. That message reached more ears than they expected. And slowly, humans began to move dot in another. Part of the city, a girl stood in the dark. She held a long metal rod, shaking. Something was walking toward her. It wasn't human. She heard its steps, heavy, sharp, like claws on concrete. But she didn't run. She waited dot at the last second. She jumped from the shadows, hit it once, twice. She screamed, loud and wild, not from fear, but from something deeper rage. The creature stumbled. It wasn't dead, but it didn't expect pain. Behind her, 2 others ran forward. They finished the job, and now there were 2 alien bodies dot soon. More small groups tried. Not with guns. They didn't have any. They used traps, wires, smoke, fire. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it didn't. But every time a human got back up, it made the aliens weaker. The invaders watched from above. They were confused, and most plants people gave up fast. They bowed, obeyed. But these creatures, these humans, they fought dirty. They fought hard. They did not follow the rules, and the worst part, they learned fast. One night, deep in the tunnels under the ground, a group of survivors sat with the alien device. They didn't know how it worked, but someone touched the side. It made a sound, a low beep, then a voice spoke from it. Not human. Not friendly. The survivors looked at each other. They weren't soldiers. But they understood one thing. This thing was speaking to others like it. And that meant it was a door. A way in. They kept it, hid it, guarded it. If it could talk to the aliens, maybe one day it could talk back. Above them, in the burned streets, new messages appeared, written in red paint, on walls, on broken cars, on what was left of homes. We are still here. Earth fights back. One alien patrol stopped to read it. They laughed in their strange, clicking way. But while they laughed, they didn't see the wire near their feet. They didn't hear the soft sound of a lighter behind the wall. The explosion was small, but enough. One alien flew through the air and hit the side of a truck. Another caught fire. The last one tried to run only to fall into a pit covered with old cloth. A man stood at the edge of the pit. He didn't say a word. He just watched the alien struggle and walked away. By now, the aliens had lost over 20 of their own. That number was small to them. But the way they were dying, that was new. It wasn't just fighting. It was hunting. And the command ship above. Alarms began to flash. Reports showed patterns, strange ones. The humans were acting like a pack. Not scattered, not broken, but focused. Working together. One of the alien commanders slammed his fist on the table. He shouted in his own tongue. He didn't understand. How could this weak, backward planet cause so much trouble? He gave a new order. No more patrols. No more warning shots. Destroy everything. And so the real war began. Ships dropped lower. Fires burned longer. Forests were set ablaze. Entire areas were wiped from maps. They were trying to scare the humans, trying to make them hide again. But it was too late for fear, because now the humans had tasted victory. They had taken trophies, alien armor, alien weapons, alien tools. They didn't know how to use them yet, but they would learn. And when they did, the aliens wouldn't be ready, not for what was coming, not for what humans were becoming. They came at night again. This time, there were no warnings. No sounds, just sudden flashes of light and the shaking of the earth. The sky above the ruined city glowed red. Alien machines, tall as buildings, walked through the rubble, scanning for signs of life. They burned everything. Houses, cars, shelters, even trees. But they found no one. The streets were empty. They didn't know it was a trap underneath the city. Deep in the old subway tunnels, hundreds of humans waited in silence, not with fear, but with purpose. Their eyes had changed. Their hands were no longer soft. They had built something new from what was left: old wires, rusted tools, broken machines. A sound echoed through the tunnels. A sharp knock. 3 short hits. Too long. A signal. The aliens were above. Right where they wanted them. In the darkness. Someone pushed a switch. Far above, metal poles hidden in the ground suddenly lit up with blue sparks. A pulse of energy shot through the machines. The legs of 2 walkers froze. The third began too. Smoke. One turned its weapon to fire, but nothing came out. Their systems were jammed. Humans poured out from the shadows like a wave. They wore rags, armor made from old tires and pots. They had no shields, no lasers, just fire, ropes, axes. And the one thing the aliens feared most now. Unity. The first alien tried to move. It didn't make it 2 steps before it was hit from above by a truck filled with fuel and pushed from a broken rooftop. The explosion lit up the night like a second sun. The machines screamed, not in pain, but in warning that it was too late. The humans struck fast, pulling them down with hooks, wires, and firebombs. They didn't try to take prisoners, they didn't talk. They just attacked with the fury of a broken world. The battle was over in minutes. The bodies of the dead machines smoked in the street, their strange green blood dripping through cracks. In the pavement far from the city, in a cold mountain cave, a man watched through binoculars. He saw the smoke. He saw the fire, and he smiled for the first time in weeks. Beside him sat an old laptop powered by a car battery. The alien device was plugged into it now, blinking quietly. The humans still didn't understand its language, but they had cracked part of the signal. They were listening, watching, learning. Every sound the aliens made, every command they gave, was now being recorded. In another part of the world, in a desert filled with ash and bones, a group of children walked through the dust, holding hands. Behind them, a woman dragged an old alien weapon. It was heavy, she didn't know how to use it, but she knew someone would every day now. Small groups like hers were joining together. Strangers becoming tribes. Tribes becoming an army. And this new army had no uniforms, no leaders, no flags, only one rule. Do not kneel. In the sky above, the alien commanders met again. Their voices buzzed in strange tones, full of anger and fear. The humans were not following the pattern. They weren't. Breaking. They were becoming dangerous. One alien suggested leaving. The others laughed at him. But deep down, they knew they had made a mistake. They had thought this would be easy. A quick invasion. A soft world. A weak species. But Earth had turned into a storm. One that wouldn't stop. Now the aliens started sending new weapons. Faster ships. Smarter drones. Bigger machines. But even then they struggled. Because every time they destroyed something, humans just moved, hid, waited, struck again. It was like fighting the wind. In the burned out ruins of a coastal city. A young girl painted a message on a wall in dark red paint. She had seen her family fall. She had nothing left. But she stood straight. Her letters were bold and large, facing the sky. It said, "You were not the first, but you will be the last." That message reached across the world, carried by word, of mouth, by radio, by whispered breath in the dark. And it lit something inside people, a fire that no machine could kill. Somewhere, deep in a bunker, someone finally got the alien device to speak English. The voice that came through was not loud, not angry. It simply said, "We are watching. We are coming." But by now, the humans were not afraid of messages. They were ready for war. And this time, they were planning the next move, not just to survive, But to win asterisk, the alien fell to its knees. Its armor was cracked, its weapon gone, its long fingers twitching as sparks flew from its chest. All around it, silence. Dust in the air, fire in the distance, and 5 humans standing over it, bloody, shaking, but alive. No one spoke. They had never seen one beg before. But this one wasn't begging. It was confused, hurt, afraid. That made it dangerous. One of the humans stepped forward and ended it with a sharp swing of a pipe. They didn't cheer. They didn't smile. They just moved on, their eyes cold. They had stopped being survivors. They had become hunters. The war had changed, and so had the humans. In the forest near the mountains. Traps had been laid. Metal wires stretched between. Trees, holes covered in leaves. Explosives made from old gas cans and spark plugs. Alien scouts began to vanish one by one. No sign of a fight. No trace left behind. Just silence. But the silence was a message. You were being watched. Across the oceans. In places the aliens thought were broken, strange signals began to rise. Old satellites came back online. Human voices started filling hidden frequencies. Not cries for help, but plans. Coordinates. Maps of weakness. Times of attack. The humans were no longer hiding. They were organizing. The aliens noticed too late. In one dark valley. A large crawler ship landed to collect minerals from the ground. It was massive, 30 meters tall, a fortress on wheels. It had sensors, guns, scanners. It had never been touched in battle. It was gone by morning. No bodies. No black smoke. Just broken parts scattered across the rocks and a painted symbol on the side of a cliff. A red hand. Fingers pointing upward. Palm marked with a single word. Enough. The aliens grew nervous. Inside their command ships, voices argued. Some wanted to send more soldiers. Others wanted to burn the planet clean. But even they knew the truth. If they scorched the earth, they would lose the resources they came for. And without those, their empire would starve. They couldn't just destroy Earth. They had to control it. But Earth was slipping from their hands. They tried new tricks. Fake messages sent over human radios. Traps made to look like safe zones. Even strange machines that gave off a calming signal to make humans feel sleepy, slow, weak. But none of it worked. The humans had learned to question everything. To test, to wait. To strike when it hurt the most. In an underground lab built inside. A ruined school. A small group stared at a screen. The alien device had finally connected to the enemy's main network. Now, for the first time, they could see the invaders' map, and what they saw changed everything. The ships above Earth weren't the full force. They were just scouts, a small piece of a larger army. A test. But even worse, Earth wasn't the first planet. It was just the latest. The aliens had done this before, over a dozen worlds. All wiped clean. All turned into cold, empty places where life no longer grew, where voices no longer sang, where memories faded into ash. This was a cycle. But this time, it was breaking. A quiet voice behind the screen whispered, "They never met humans before." That same night, a group of humans snuck into a downed alien dropship. It was still hot, burning in parts, wires hissing. They moved carefully, quietly. The air inside smelled like smoke and something sharp. The lights flickered. One of them found a box, small, heavy, glowing red. They didn't know what it was, but the ship was guarding it. That meant it mattered. They took it, and that's when alarms started. They didn't run. They fought their way out. When they reached the trees again, the ship exploded behind them. They didn't look back. By morning, others heard what they'd done. The story spread across survivor networks like fire. And suddenly, more groups began targeting alien ships, not just to destroy, but to steal. To take tools, power, secrets. The humans weren't just fighting now. They were upgrading. And somewhere, deep beneath the earth, a machine hummed to life. It wasn't alien. It wasn't old. It was human. Built from pieces of fallen enemy tech. Fed by power stolen from ships above. Silent. Waiting. Its purpose was clear. When it rose, The invaders would finally feel what it meant to face extinction. The humans didn't want peace anymore. They wanted revenge, and nothing was going to stop them. The snow turned black that morning. It wasn't from ash or fire. It was from the sky, the smoke trails of falling alien ships, spinning as they crashed into the mountains. The air smelled like burned oil and metal. People watched from the ridges, their faces cold but their eyes. Burning got another one down. 3 more by nightfall. The aliens had begun losing control. They sent more drones now. Faster ones. Smarter ones. They moved in packs like hunters, but even these were falling. Humans had studied their paths, set traps along their patrols, lured them into fake signals, into radio blackouts, into places where the ground itself would give way beneath them. One of the drones was captured alive, still blinking, still moving. It was dragged into a cold basement, lit only by a single hanging bulb. There, a group worked in silence. Not soldiers. Not scientists. Just people who had lost everything. They broke. It opened. Wires. Sparks. Fluid like blue ink spilled onto the floor. It didn't matter. They weren't here to admire it. They were here to learn, and they did dot by the next night. That same group launched a news signal from an old TV, Tower 1, that mimicked the drone's location beacon. It worked. The aliens came looking. But what they found was fire, steel, and sharpened rage. 2 more ships went down that week. The aliens started retreating in the dark corners of their ships. Their commanders argued. Their maps no longer made sense. Areas marked as cleared now burned with human attacks. Regions they thought lifeless now sent up smoke and gunfire. Their own scouts returned damaged, whispering the same word in their cold, broken voice, evolving. The humans were changing, no longer just reacting. They were thinking faster, building faster, even speaking faster, their minds stretched by pain and survival. And something else, too, something deeper, inside one mountain base. A strange pulse began to grow. It came from the alien box stolen. Weeks ago, humans couldn't open it. But when they brought it near the alien tech, the box sang. Not a song with words. Just sound low, powerful, like something ancient trying to wake up. Some said to destroy it. Others said it was a key. They didn't know yet. But they were watching it closely. Far to the south. In the ruins of a desert city, humans found something else. An alien prisoner. Wounded and trapped in the wreck of its own ship. It spoke. Not clearly. But enough. It said this world was a mistake. It said humans were too wild. It said more were coming. That last part mattered. The current invasion wasn't the worst. There were bigger fleets waiting beyond the stars. Full armies. Bigger weapons. Stronger machines. They weren't scared. They were testing. That news spread fast. But instead of fear, something else happened. People stopped hoping to survive. They started preparing to strike. First. Underground factories came alive, powered by stolen alien cores. Old human weapons were reforged with new alien tech. Bullets that burned through armor. Armor that turned heat into energy. Machines that moved like shadows, learning from each fight. But the biggest change wasn't in weapons. It was in the people, their eyes, their silence, their unity. They were no longer scattered. They were one, and with each alien death, each victory, each scream in the night, a message grew louder. This is our world. We are not your harvest. We are your end. Up above, in the sky now. Thick with smoke and fire, one alien ship tried to flee. It didn't make it far. Something followed it. Something fast. Something built not in a lab, but in fire and fury. It struck like thunder and tore the ship from the clouds. No one saw who flew it, but everyone felt what it meant. The humans had taken flight. They had entered the sky, and soon they would leave Earth behind, not to escape, but to chase. Because now they knew the truth. The war hadn't started on Earth. It would end somewhere else. Out there. And when it did, the stars would burn. Asterisk. The stars were no longer quiet. Above Earth, one human ship moved through the black sky, silent as a ghost. It wasn't smooth. It wasn't pretty. It had no paint. It shook every time its engines burned. But it flew, and inside it were 5 people. They weren't astronauts. They weren't trained. They were survivors, fighters, builders. Each one had seen death. Each one had nothing left to lose. They were the first. The alien ship they followed was damaged, leaking green light and sparks. It tried to run. But the humans had learned how to track its heat, how to follow its drive, how to listen through the static. They didn't know what they would find on the other side, but they followed anyway. Back on Earth, the air was changing. The sky wasn't blue anymore. Smoke from crashed alien ships hung over cities like thick clouds. The land looked dead in places, but it wasn't. Under the rubble, under the dirt. The humans were moving faster, smarter, they had new machines now. Walkers made from scrap metal. Drones powered by stolen alien cores, suits that turned heat into strength. Weapons that could melt through starship hulls, and most of all, they had each other. Every region, every broken place, every small group. They were no longer alone. The radio waves were full of voices now. People planning, warning, sharing secrets, even laughing. They hadn't laughed in months, but now they believed because they knew what the aliens didn't. The humans had found. Their rage, and rage can build anything. High above the clouds, more ships began to launch. Not many. Not perfect, but enough. Each one carrying soldiers who had never left Earth before. Now, they looked down at their planet for the last time, and they promised they'd bring the war home, not Earth, There's, far out in space. The first human ship reached the alien station, It was massive, cold, quiet. The humans floated inside through a broken side port. The metal walls dripped with steam. Blue lights blinked. No sound, no guards, It looked empty. But it wasn't. They found a room with glass walls. Behind it, rows and rows of tanks, not machines, other species. Frozen, trapped, sleeping. Some were old. Some small. Some already dead. All taken from other worlds, It was a graveyard. A warning. Earth was just the next name on the list, The humans said nothing. One by one, they began planting bombs. Small ones. Fast ones. Their hands were steady. Their breathing slow. They didn't scream or curse or cry. They had passed all that. Now they were focused. Before they left, one of them scratched a word into the glass wall, not in alien language, in human. It said, "We see you." Then they left. And seconds later, the station burned. Back in alien command, alarms rang for the first time in years. A station gone, a message received. But not from their own kind. From prey, one alien voice spoke quietly. We didn't invade a world. We woke a species? The other said nothing, because they finally understood what they were facing. Not weapons, not numbers, will, pure, violent, unbreakable will. And it was spreading, other planets, ones taken long ago, were receiving human signals. Weak, broken voices. Drifting through space, some species still alive, still listening. And when they heard the words, they moved. Earth was no longer alone. It had become the match. The fire was spreading. And soon, the whole galaxy would burn with it. The sky above the alien homeworld cracked open. At first, they thought it was just a sensor glitch. A flicker in the warning systems. Then they saw dark shapes pushing through the clouds. Not large, not many, but fast, sharp, carried by fire. Human ships. Real ones now. No longer shaking metal boxes. No longer patched with junk. These moved like wolves. Painted black. No lights, no signals. Built from pain. Forged from fury. They didn't carry peace. They carried war. The aliens scrambled. Their cities had never been touched by enemy hands. Their defense towers had never fired in fear. Their leaders had never needed to run. Until now. The humans came in low, slicing through defenses with strange new weapons. Some made of sound, some of fire, some no one could even understand. One tower fell with a single strike. Another turned to smoke without a flame. They didn't waste time. They didn't speak. They only moved. Back on Earth. The remaining people looked to the stars, listening. They couldn't see the battle, but they felt it deep inside. In their bones, they had sent their own up into the dark. Not to survive dot to end it dot in space, the alien command ships tried to run, but the humans had studied them. Every jump path, every fuel weakness, every blind spot. One by one, they blocked the exits, like closing a net. And then the message came. From the first human ship dot, it wasn't a cry. It wasn't a warning dot, it was a countdown dot 10 dot 9 dot 8 dot. Each second echoed across every stolen planet. Every broken station, every empty world the aliens had taken and stripped and killed dot 7 dot 6 dot. The humans had found the core, the heart of the alien empire dot. And now they were inside it dot 5 dot 4 dot. The alien leaders shouted. They tried to cut the signal. But the signal wasn't from their system. It came from under it, from inside the tech they had stolen long ago, from the box they thought was just human. Junk dot 3.2 dot. It was never just a weapon dot. It was a virus dot made by human hands, written in rage dot, fueled by every scream, every death, every burned city dot 1 dot. The heart stopped. Across the alien empire, machines shut down. Ships drifted dead in space. Stations went dark. Weapons froze in mid-fire. Entire cities fell silent, and then Earth's voice filled the silence. One voice dot, no name, just a sentence. You should have left us alone. The humans didn't wait for surrender. They came down from the sky like fire dot in the alien capital. People ran, screamed, begged. But the humans didn't come to talk. They didn't come to rule. They came to finish what was started. They tore down every symbol of power. They broke every throne. They burned the maps dot, and then they walked away. They didn't stay to rule. They didn't plant flags dot. They simply left because the humans didn't want control. They wanted to make sure no one ever tried to control them again. And they did. Across the stars, silence returned. But it wasn't peace dot. It was respect dot. No one would forget Earth now. Not because of what it lost, but because of what it became. The planet that fought back. The people who turned fear into fury. The species that refused to kneel, they weren't the biggest. They weren't the most advanced. But they were something far worse. They were human, and that was enough. The galaxy would never be the same.